Welcome to CrossPolitic on the fastest growing Rowdy Presbyterian Fight Laugh Feast Network in America.
That's on.
Pastor Toby.
Right now.
It's on
At this
right
time.
Now. At this time.
That you're watching.
Yes.
I think it's in the world, not just in America.
In the universe. Pastor Toby, Chuck Knox, I'm the water boy. It's good to be with you daily.
Yeah.
Daily.
I don't know. I'm kind of getting tired of you guys.
Are you?
It took you this long, almost 4 years, and you're just now starting to get tired. Well,
as
love
you guys
too.
can see, we're trying to work very hard on a daily basis to bring you guys content. And a way you could bless us is by joining our club.
Oh.
Join our club.
We can get better
support
daily.
What we're doing. It could
Maybe
get better.
Pastor Toby can tolerate us if you would join the network so we can do more. He's tired of the same.
Take your stimulus
He gets bored
paycheck and
fast.
just join the club. There you go.
I got it. It's in there.
So we were just talking before the show that it sounds like some people were starting to get their stimulus checks, and it's just automatic direct deposit into your bank account.
Right.
I've never I refuse to give the IRS access to my bank account on my own will. On my own will.
You know they don't care.
And then I just checked after Toby, and the stimulus check was in my bank account. I've never given him access. It freaked me out.
Gabe, they know everything.
Why are you surprised? You're acting really surprised.
Well, you know what they did is they took my IRS return,
right?
Lined it up to my bank account through my Social Security number.
Yep.
And that's how it all came together.
Probably so.
Right.
So they cross-referenced all that.
Right.
And probably Facebook is in there somewhere too.
Google.
You surprised?
I remember years ago.
Yes and no.
I remember years ago when I first started actually having money to report because I was married for a number of years, in which it was like we were just eating rice and beans, and just praising Jesus and having a great old time.
The good old days.
And then then you start having kids, and they're like, "Oh, we're going to pay you for your kids," and I was like, "You don't pay me for my kids. These are my kids. God gave them to me. They don't have Caesar's image on them, and so they would send me checks, and I just rip them up and put them in the trash,
right?
Because I was like, I'm taking your money from my kids. Thank you very much. Well, then one year, I think it worked for a year or two like that. And I didn't get the money, and then third year or fourth year of doing that, I ripped it up, threw it in the trash, and then a month later, it was in my bank account.
Oh, you gonna take this money?
So they were
was it all the money that you had ripped
the last
up?
3 years? The last 3 years?
No, it was just for that return. Just that return.
Hey, so did you go back and tell them you have a couple years where you owe me a little money?
No,
you didn't do that. Okay.
I don't got time for that.
So, but you eventually took it.
Yeah,
wow. Because they forced you.
That's when I just decided I was going to start my personal thing. I don't think this is binding on anybody's conscience, but I decided all right, this is not my money. I don't think this is right, and I just wanted some way of designating that, and so I just started doing a double tithe. Whenever they give me money that's not mine, I just do a double tithe and just be like 20%, and just be like, Lord, you know that I don't need this money, I don't want this money, but I live in a messed up system, and so that's just the way I've done it.
So I want to ask about right now because we've talking about the stimulus money and when it comes in, what you're going to do with it. There's been Matt Williams who's talked about this. I said,
are we outside the introduction here? Because I got upcoming events to talk about.
Go ahead. So we're never going to get to this topic. Go ahead and talk about all.
He doesn't want to talk about it. He's mad. He's like, we're not talking about this.
The IRS got access to my bank account.
I'm for real.
So we got a couple of upcoming events. So as everyone knows, the Grace Agenda Conference got moved. It was August. At the end of April. Yeah. Now it got moved to August.
Right.
And so now it's August 14th to 15th. That's actually going to be a pretty packed weekend because NSA has graduation. They actually moved graduation.
Moved it over there.
We have the President's Dinner that weekend. And then we also have all the students coming back to start college in August also. So this is going to be a fun time. If you guys can make it to the Grace Agenda Conference course, we'll be there. Yep. We'll have a booth. You're speaking.
It's here in Moscow.
Here in Moscow.
The theme this year is School of Practical Christianity. So it's like back to basics of what it means to be a Christian.
Amen.
And Gary DeMar speaking.
Gary, Uncle Gary.
I got a question.
Yeah.
Are we going to be?
Anybody have a question?
Are we going to be taking people's temperature when they come inside the Grace Agenda? I just wondering how we going to get back to
normal.
I'm just wondering if
I just say if you're sick or vulnerable, don't show up.
Are we going to be spacing 6 feet apart? How we doing?
By that point, I hope not.
Yeah, we'll see. Anyway.
All right. And then secondly, of course, our Fight Laugh Feast conference is in Nashville. Hey, all these conferences got canceled in the springtime here.
Yeah.
Our conference is going to be hopping. All right. I just know it is because y'all going to be hungry for some food. and we're gonna kick the whole conference off on Thursday night.
People are gonna be hungry for some socializing
and some beer and psalms, and some beer and psalms.
Like,
that's
I
right.
want some community.
Yeah.
And so make sure you sign up for our Fight Laugh Feast conference. That's www.fightlaughfeast.com, and all club members get a discount. So you're saving money. You're losing money if you don't join the club. I mean, comes back to that.
And you're losing money if you don't come to the conference.
That's right.
It's like it just got taken out of your bank account by the IRS.
Oh, we doing that now?
In fact, I'm working on an algorithm to do that right. And then lastly, we're going to be in San Diego.
I'm looking forward to this one
Pastor
too.
Joel's church doing the Right Response Annual Conference, October 23rd through the 24th in San Diego.
Man, and I'm going to go down on that San Diego beach and I'm going to watch a sunset flagrantly.
Yes,
flagrantly.
Sitting next to your wife.
I don't care what kind of regulations you got down there in San Diego County.
Do it.
I'm going to be there. I'm watching the sunset.
Amen.
That's Virgil and Daryl going to be there at that conference too,
Yeah,
right?
Virgil, Just Thinking guys.
From the Just Thinking
podcast.
Yeah. They'll be there. Yeah, that'll be great.
Man, I like those brothers.
Good
I like those brothers.
Okay, Knox, I'll let you get back to your
So what are you
stimulus
going to do?
question.
What are you going to do with your stimulus check? Because we've argued about this before, but we never talked about it on the show. My thought at first was, nope, I don't want it. I'm scared what y'all doing with this.
But they know they're just going to put it in there.
Sure. I'm scared to look.
And they just did.
It's probably in
they
there now.
just did. And you got like 100 kids, so
Yeah, I was supposed to be like $5,400, something like that.
Right.
So
here's what
do they count the unborn children?
no, I don't think so. They don't have a
Because
social
they don't have
security number yet.
Social
Yeah.
security number yet. Yeah.
So, I mean, I home birth, so I can write one up real quick.
what you do is you get that Bible, that birth Bible.
We can do that.
Yeah. That's awesome. So here's my take on it. What I want to do is I want to try to line it up in such a way where my kids are going to be better off. Because our kids are going to be the ones that are going to be paying for this. So I'm going to be opening up a bank account for each of my kids, actually with the stimulus money. And then
You don't have bank accounts for your kids yet?
not yet. I mean, they're, they're 5, 7. And so that's one thing I'm going to do.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I'm also in the situation where I actually owe taxes this year. I mean, I've made no money, but since I'm a proprietor, I owe taxes.
Oh, they know.
So they know.
They know.
I'm just going to take the money and give it right back to the IRS.
Yeah.
So I'm a tithe on some of it, give some of it, start a bank account for the kids, and then pay off my taxes.
How does that work with you knowing that we shouldn't be getting? I mean,
Yeah, well, I think Christians need to be super mindful of what just happened.
Right.
Because how easy is it for us to slip into the mentality like, hey, this isn't that big of a deal.
Right.
This is,
we're trying to be. The government is trying to pay us off right now.
Yeah.
This is bribe money.
It really is.
It's like don't be so upset. Don't be so sad. Don't be upset.
We had to make this decision on your behalf,
and I think
here's some money for you.
I think it is, and I think it's like it's been a complete disaster.
So technically, would you say they owe businesses? Technically, businesses they actually owe. They need to be taking care of businesses, what they've done, what they've taken from them, restitution.
The problem though is they don't have money to pay back, and so what they're doing is they're actually stealing this money from our grandkids,
Right?
Because they don't have it. I mean, unless there's somebody in the back room somewhere doing some massive cuts on the federal budget.
Ain't happening. Right.
But I mean, Trump just announced that he's cutting off funding to the World Health Organization,
WHO, which is awesome.
Which is great.
$800 million or something like that, I think.
But $800 million is not quite the same as 2 trillion.
Plus trillion,
trillions. I think you're going to have to do that. Otherwise, you're taking it from the grandkids.
Yeah.
And then, you're like, you've got water coming in and you're just, it's like trying to bail out, the Pastor Wilson had it on his blog the other day from Fantasia with Mickey Mouse. He's pouring the water out and it's coming in.
And the brooms are pushing it all back in.
Faster, coming in as fast. It's the same kind of thing. It's like you're not actually doing anything.
Yeah.
Right.
But I think the thought is, well, hey, at least practically, and we talked to David Bonson about this, I think that there is a sense in which there's a bunch of people, especially at the bottom of the economy, who really are in a situation where they go paycheck to paycheck, and they've been sent home, and they're not getting paychecks.
Yeah. Right.
And, what do you do? It's a mess.
Yeah.
It's a mess.
Yeah, and I just think Christians need to know exactly what play has been run on us, as we've been talking about, and they need to be very principled in what happened. And if you have some debt to pay off, go ahead and pay it off with it. But try to invest it and donate it away.
Try to be more responsible than the federal government
with that money.
Think long term and think independence.
Consciously, my mind is not connecting these yet. I'm still working through conscious how I want to deal with it. I don't like the fact that the federal government takes money from me that's mine and tells me how much of it I can have back. I don't even like that situation anyway. But I really don't like it, the fact that we're taking money from who knows where. And because,
we know where.
Yeah, that's true. And so it's kind of, my conscience is a little,
Well,
and so I'm trying to figure out how, but Gabe, you said something I thought was made me take this into consideration.
Yeah.
My children are going to have $6,000 worth of debt right now at this current state.
With interest.
With interest that's going to grow. So what situation?
Where's that number from?
The
stimulus money that you get.
No. I'm talking. You said you based this comment on how much debt every American has right now.
Oh, it's based on the total debt.
The total debt the American has. I think you said something like $6,000.
Oh no, it's like
or 60. What was it?
I think it's 60,000 per person.
Yeah,
it's it's like 200,000 per family,
the national debt.
Yeah, the national
debt. You divide up.
Yeah, so about 60,000.
I think.
If you trust Gabe's, anyway, there's a astronomical amount of money my kids already owe
that they're born into.
That they're born into, and so you made me think about, well, what does it look like to think in a way that by the time they become of age, they are financially set up to handle whatever situation's in front of them.
Yeah.
And if I can have the opportunity to do that, I better take it.
Right.
I better figure that out. What does that look like? Right. Markets, investment, business. What does that look like, and how do I do that?
Use it to try to create more independence.
Right. Exactly.
And take responsibility rather than just I'm throwing it away. Rather than just doing something for just that's going to be disposable. That's going to be burning it up.
That's right.
Try to think long term. Try to think in terms of independence.
You need to be thinking like that anyway.
Absolutely.
You need to be thinking like that anyway.
Right.
But especially when a situation comes where you weren't expecting certain types of money.
Yeah.
How are you thinking about it?
The other thing is, I do think Christians should be thinking about immediate needs too. There really are some people that have been crushed by all this.
Yep.
And even if we think the federal government is being completely irresponsible and foolish in how they're handling the finances of our nation, be responsible and think and look in terms of, are there people in need around me?
Right.
And are there immediate needs, emergency needs that can be met in the meantime?
Do you think churches right now, there's money set aside for churches to possibly be able to take? You think that the churches should take this money?
Absolutely not.
So what's the difference between the church and then the individual in this situation?
An individual is a citizen, and I think going back to the debt issue, we really do have a debt. I mean, given how much we're all responsible in that sense.
Yeah.
When we put these leaders in place, and they've created the debt, and we owe it. Ultimately, the church is not, as an institution, is not entailed in that at all.
Yeah,
ought not to be. The church does not exist by the permission of the state.
Yeah.
The church does not. That's why the churches have been historically tax exempt.
Right.
There are ministerial exemptions for pastors because we are not employees of the state in any way, shape, or form.
Right. So if you look at the people, it's like if the church is going through something, you need help. Let the people be the one who service the church to help get, but not let the federal government be the one that it's indebted to.
I think it's absolutely an enormous mistake for churches to take money from the federal government right now.
I think there's some in the SBC right now that are saying, "Hey, this might be an opportunity to help churches out," and it's like,
no, that's a hook.
Absolutely.
And I think just in principle, you ought to say, how do we want to exist as the Church of the Lord Jesus Christ? Do we want to exist because of the blessing of governments, of politicians, or do we want to exist because of the blessing of God?
Right.
I think there's a principle there, I think, that also applies analogously to Christians as individuals.
Yeah.
But I do think there's a different government. There's a different governmental entity there.
Right.
And I think churches need to say, no, absolutely not.
Right.
We will not take your loans, your forgivable loans, whatever.
Yeah.
We exist because of Jesus.
Right.
And his blessing and his provision, and not get entailed into that at all, not get hooked into that at all.
And I love, and that's where I'm still kind of feeling the same way on the stimulus side for me. Like that my heart is kind of there because I don't want to be beholden to them.
Well, that suspicion's fantastic.
Really. I would say, even on the individual side, where I would say, I don't think I have a problem with individuals taking the.
I don't either. But I don't.
But I think the difference is there's still, you should take it in a way that's not beholden to them.
Yeah.
And I would say, but there is a difference between being a citizen of a nation and being a church which transcends nations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just concerned, period, with government getting hooks in you,
Absolutely.
no matter where it is.
Absolutely.
And that's good. So Trump on Monday had this amazing press conference. If Trump was to offer a master class on press conferences, I'm taking it. I'm taking it. I'm signing up.
Yeah.
You show me where the master class is at. I'm there.
So what happened? I haven't even seen the whole thing yet.
Okay, so there's a 3 minute, 20-second video that if you've been watching Fox News, Trump has really it's Hannity. He's been towering Trump from this and praising him on it, and he's got videos he's playing every night and a timeline he's played every night, and knowing that Trump is like his buddy, he's been backing him up. And so Hannity's been playing these videos of the media and doctors and other people saying, hey, Trump was doing way too much. The coronavirus isn't that big of a deal. And so
early on.
So early on, yeah. And so Hannity's kind of put together, he's holding the receipts for everybody. And so Trump does something, he just decides to put together some of the clips that Hannity's gathered.
Okay.
And he decides to play it at a press conference.
Okay, this was when?
This was Monday.
Okay, all right.
People should be more concerned right now with the flu in this country.
A lot of people are concerned about the coronavirus because they're hearing a lot of news about it right now. But the reality is, comparing it to the flu, for example, it's not even close to being at that stage.
What if it is worse? Is this a moment where maybe countries put politics aside, a little bit of pride aside, and do we have U.S. officials? Should U.S. professionals such as yourself get involved?
How worried should Americans be about coronavirus?
Coronavirus is not going to cause a major issue in the United States.
So
he plays this.
So he plays.
This is at the press conference. He plays this video.
Yeah. This is, to me, I've never seen anything like this, and I haven't been around that long. At least I don't think I have. My kids probably think I have, but I don't remember a moment in a press conference where the press get put in the dock.
Right, because they've been trying to put Trump in the dock.
That's right, and this for the first time he's got all the receipts.
Yeah.
And he's put them in the dock.
Here's your report card.
And he's and got to remember, this is the most watched thing on television. The press conference is the #1 watched show on television right now.
Because sports aren't going on right now.
Right, and there's no sports. Trump is the sport.
He is the sport right now.
Trump is straight up
He's
WWE.
The live sport.
This is World Wrestling Federation public.
Yeah.
So he does this, and they're watching
themselves. Wow.
And
here's a mirror.
And he's showing everybody else too what they've been doing.
Right.
And so there's another clip in here where he not only does this, and then there's the second clip he plays, it's 3 minutes. The second part of the clip is him taking decisive action. I decided to do something January 31st.
He closed China.
And then them saying this was bad. Why are you doing this? This is homophobic.
Okay.
And then he goes on to the last part of the clip, which is all the governors and everybody else praising him for what he's been doing.
His team is on it. They've been responsive late at night, early in the morning, and they've thus far been doing everything that they can do. And I want to say thank you. And I want to say that I appreciate it.
He returns calls. He reaches out. He's been proactive.
California.
We got that Mercy ship down here in Los Angeles. That was directly because he sent it down here. 2,000 medical units came to the state of California, these FMS, these field medical stations. And that's been very, very helpful.
The president has been outstanding through all this. The vice president's been outstanding.
DeSantis.
Members of the coronavirus task force, very responsive.
We had asked if we could have, New Jersey could have access to a piece of the beds that are on the USNS Comfort, and the president came back, called me a short few minutes before I walked in here to say indeed they would grant that to New Jersey. So that's a big step for us in addition to all the other capacity. That news is literally hot off the press. And I thank the president and vice president who are on the call together.
President Trump approved Arizona's request for a presidential major disaster declaration. I want to thank the president.
There's no disaster in Arizona,
turnaround.
by the way.
We requested this on a Wednesday, and we had approval by Saturday morning. And we are grateful to the administration for their continued support and responsiveness.
It almost looks like it hurts them to say it. It's like,
wow.
But this is this is preemptive, and I don't usually see that. I mean, again, whatever he's doing, this is set up for something else. He's playing some 4D chess here.
Yeah. Well, what I'm seeing is people are saying that he's getting ready to reopen the economy. He's getting ready to,
I think so.
And, sort of use all of the power that he has to say, all right, guys, it's time to reopen.
Yeah.
We've flattened the curve. We addressed it based on what people said we ought to do.
Yeah.
All right, let's get back to work. And and I think that's what he's getting ready to do.
Yeah, and so right now he's doing a bomb run to kind of put the media at ease to say,
right.
I'm going to do this. And you've been praising me up to this point.
Yeah,
I've done everything right up to this point. You've been wrong about this up to this point.
Yes.
So why don't you sit down and shut up and let me do my thing?
Oh, man.
And so he's just
I want that masterclass.
Strategically, this was brilliant.
Yeah.
Maybe we get Trump to do like a Fight Laugh Feast Club Portal masterclass on
matter
this.
of fact, I remember in the press conference, there was a reporter that asked, like, out of all the time I've been doing this, I've never seen anything like this before.
Yeah.
Which I think he's right.
Yeah.
And then he goes on to say, who made this?
Yeah.
Because he knows.
Who made this?
He knows, this has come from Fox, so there's no doubt. But the way he handled it was like, we made it. We put it together. We grabbed some clips that were out there, and we got plenty more.
Yeah.
We can show you all.
we got tons more. We can play all day long.
All day long. This could go on for hours. For 3.5 minutes to see yourself.
Yeah.
And for everybody else to see you. This was just.
I mean, remember too. Don't forget. it's so easy to forget this, but remember how bad the news was in 2016. The media, completely botched the election.
That's right.
Yeah.
The presidential election.
That's right.
They did.
The stats, the numbers, everything. And there was a space of time when everybody was like, "We will never believe anything you say ever again."
And then collusion.
And then I think that was the buildup of more. And now here we go. I think the last 3 months I think they start that way.
Yeah.
And then as soon as Trump takes action, they completely pivot.
That's right.
And they say, "No, you're not handling this enough."
Yeah.
And it's
because I think they know right now the conversation that's happening between the governors and President Trump. I think President Trump has talked some ways he probably shouldn't have about what he has authority to do in every state. That you've lost your mind. Don't do that, please. But I think he's baiting them in the same way he was baiting Dr. Fauci with retweeting the idea of fire. Yeah. He knows what he's doing. He's keeping everybody on their toes. He's basically telling Fauci, "Don't play the game with me."
Well, I don't like where the conversation's at right now at all.
But anyway,
because all we're doing is talking about how Trump's handling it versus the reality of the crisis of what's going on.
But I think if Trump is setting up to reopen everything, then all it is just a feint.
He's checkmating them.
Yeah, that's all it is.
Right.
I think he's for the most part not been drawn into a lot of the how did you handle? He's punching it back. He's answering it.
Yeah.
But he's basically just said, "All right, we're going to deal with this. We're going to face this the best I think we should, and then we're going to move on."
Yeah.
I think you're right. We shouldn't get caught up in whenever there's a controversy. Immediately, and Dr. Merkel was saying this yesterday on the show, riffing off of that book Glass Jaw, but he said that the temptation is immediately to get distracted by the argument over how are things being handled, rather than what's the problem, what's the issue, and I think the same thing needs to be the focus here is what's the issue, what's the truth, in fact, didn't Obama say this is really important?
Oh well, yeah. Obama just came out and supported Joe Biden.
Now that Hunger Games is finally winding down.
I'm not playing Hunger Games. We're done with that.
No, we don't have to.
Lion, dog, face, pony, soldier.
There you go. Bernie beat Obama to endorsing Joe Biden. Bernie did.
Bernie beat
his opponent.
Yeah. Bernie won something.
Bernie beat Obama to endorsing Biden first.
What did he say?
Obama did? Yeah. What did he say? Yeah. I got it for you.
I'm so proud to endorse Joe Biden for President of the United States.
Now really? There's nobody else.
Choosing Joe to be my vice president was one of the best.
Justin Trudeau
time out.
got an endorsement before Biden did. Blackface Justin Trudeau.
Before Obama.
I just love the fact that he finds the pause button when he wants to talk. I just love that he just did that.
Yeah, he doesn't do it for us.
He doesn't ever do that for us.
No.
But when he wants to say something, interrupt the clip. He's
got the power.
Oh, no.
So, and that's why,
I'm so proud to endorse Joe Biden for President of the United States. Choosing Joe to be my vice president was one of the best decisions I ever made, and he became a close friend. So our country's future hangs on this election, and it won't be easy. The other side has a massive war chest. The other side has a propaganda network with little regard for the truth.
What does that mean?
On the other hand, pandemics have a way of cutting through a lot of noise and spin to remind us of what is real and what is important. This crisis has reminded us that government matters. It It's reminded us that good government matters.
Because it shut down the economy, so
that facts
matters.
And science matter.
Facts and science.
Science? He ended with science?
Here's a fact. The fact that Donald Trump has done more for black people than a black president in the White House.
Ooh.
That's a fact.
Down.
Exactly.
And here's something that I've said this before. We were talking about this earlier. Some of the things that we've seen in the minority community as it becomes a government overreach has been blown up so that we can see it on a grander scale now. We've seen this.
Like what?
Just the way that police are overstepping their boundaries, the way that they're dealing with individuals that they shouldn't be dealing with, the way it's just been
arrested for or cited for driving.
Yeah, exactly.
Right
just
now,
for being out.
Now it's driving while being an American.
It just keeps moving up. And you know what? And I'm going to say this. I think that if we would have paid attention to the way the police have been handling things in black communities, in minority communities, we would have seen that there's a problem with authority, period. And then we would have said this is going to fall out bigger. It's going to reach out. I've been saying that for a long time. And we're seeing that. Here's something else that we can see.
We're seeing this at abortion clinics.
We're seeing it in abortion clinics. Absolutely. Right. I started seeing it happen to open air preachers right away. That was the first place that it came towards after that. But here's the other thing to that is that black people suffered worse under Obama. Because of the regulations and things that he set up.
Why do you say that?
Because financially, look, you can go to everybody who supported Obama, Puffy, Oprah hasn't said much about it. Puffy, Oprah, Master P, all the rappers, everybody that was out there in the industry, all the people who were pushing the Go Vote campaign, they have all come out and said we didn't see any change happen in our community. He left us. He didn't do anything to help us out, and here we are hurting financially. Businesses didn't grow.
How did things get worse under him?
Well, for the most part, the way the economic structure run, he didn't at all. Nothing for the black. I don't like this, but this is what they point to. Nothing for the historical black colleges. Trump has given way more than Obama did for that. The things that black people were expecting to see was economic bump somewhere in their finances. Where are we going to start doing better? Now the voices can hear us. Shouldn't we be doing better financially? That didn't happen.
You finally get a black face in the White House.
I was waiting for you to finish that.
Is there a punchline?
No, but what you start seeing,
blackface was my punchline.
What you start seeing with Trump was Trump comes in here and decides to do things without discriminating. And opens it up. And imagine this, that the people on the low end actually get a lot more boost. So you see more black businesses. You see more black businesses starting under Trump than you did Obama. You see far more high black economics developing under Trump. And you start seeing way more freedoms. And so all of a sudden you start saying, hold on, I didn't like Trump, but he's giving me way more than the guy who I did like.
Do you think this has to do with his deregulation policies?
That's a huge part of it. Because
I haven't seen this in the news recently, but I remember when he first started, what was his policy? Like for
every one regulation, he'd eliminate two.
Yeah, two.
He'd eliminate two.
Yeah.
Trying to slash regulations. All the regulations, all the red tape where you got to go through the government to get something done is just one more speed bump. For anybody. And if you're in a historically in a community or ethnicity or culture where historically it's already harder for you to get going, then
you have to do so much to even get into the game that you can never get into the game.
It makes sense to me. It makes sense to me.
Yeah, and Thomas Sowell and Walter Williams have done great work on when we have a freer society, when we have less regulations, minority cultures, and when we deregulate minimum wage, right? We have minority cultures able to grow faster and better. One of the reasons black culture has had such a problem is because we play with it a lot more than we have any other minority culture. We didn't play with the Italians like this. We didn't play with the Irish like this. Leave them alone. And so anyway, Trump has done far more. And so what we're seeing now is Trump has decided to Trump has been way more effective than Obama has. And so
and notice this. I don't know if this is also indicative of what you're talking about, but again, Obama waits till everyone in the world
that's my point.
Has endorsed Biden. And Obama's like, all right, now he's
my best friend.
My moment of truth. Yeah, he said nothing.
Yeah.
Zilch.
Silent.
We have, if you want to see the leadership that we've had as far as these two presidents, we just saw it. We saw Trump come out and set up, I'm going to open up the economy, but first what I'm going to do is hit a bomb run on the media.
First, I'm going to punch you in the face.
That's right. That's leadership. And when no one else has done this before. Right. And then what does Obama do? Wait until the coast is clear to stick his head out for his friend.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right.
For his friend. Right. I don't want to know about people who aren't his friend.
Yeah.
What does that look like?
If you're really good friends with Obama, He will wait until the coast is clear.
To come and
then he'll come out and stand with you.
I don't call people friends who do stuff like that.
Right.
No,
I want to, when it's shooting, if you can't hand me any ammo, I'm shooting you. Okay, or get out the foxhole with me, because we in war.
Yeah.
And so I think we're seeing a different kind of leadership, and especially in times of crisis. You want to talk about times of crises?
Yeah.
I mean, he had a crisis in 2008. It didn't. Obama did.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And what he did for that crisis didn't help anybody.
What was that?
That was a whole meltdown of the economy when it came to housing.
The economic depression. Yeah.
So at least there were no jobs. The job system shut down. The jobs are still there,
right,
up until this point.
Yeah.
Right.
We can get that. Everything is still there in place if we go ahead and get back to work. With Obama, there was nothing there in place even after he got done.
Yeah.
Well, and remember, courage. We've said this on the show before. Courage begets courage, and whatever Trump's misplaced courage at times, it really does show in how the rest of the administration responds also.
Yeah.
So I think Attorney General Barr just yesterday, he released this statement. It was issued a statement on religious practice and social distancing from the Department of Justice, specifically talking towards the Mississippi church situation.
Was it not Kentucky?
It was Mississippi.
Mississippi, okay.
And this is just I got 2 paragraphs here I just want to read from his statement, but it's really good. He says, but even in times of emergency, when reasonable and temporary restrictions are placed on rights, the First Amendment and the federal statutory law prohibit discrimination against religious institutions and religious believers. Thus, government may not impose special restrictions on religious activity that do not apply to similar non-religious activity. So imbalanced application of law. And he says, for example, if a government allows movie theaters, restaurants, concert halls, and other comparable places of assembly to remain open and unrestricted, it may not order houses of worship to close, limit their congregation size, or otherwise impede religious gatherings. Religious institutions must not be singled out for special burdens, which they have.
Right.
Attorney General Barr goes on to say, he says, today the department filed a statement of interest in support of a church in Mississippi that allegedly sought to hold a parking lot worship service in which congregants listened to their pastors preach over their radios in their car while sitting in their cars in the church parking lot with their windows rolled up. The city of Greenville fined congregants $500 per person. Yep. Per person. So how many people you have in your car? 500 per person.
Oh, you'd be
out of you're right. There goes your stimulus check. 500 per person
over.
For attending these parking lot services while permitting citizens to attend nearby drive-in restaurants, even with their windows open.
Yeah. There was a video actually of a church who got shut down. Then they decided to go to Walmart, and all of them, I think 50 of them, went into Walmart and could all go into Walmart and gather in Walmart.
Yep.
But they couldn't gather in their cars.
Right.
Arbitrary.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's the thing and we have the same thing going on. It's not quite as strict here in Idaho. The governor has explicitly allowed drive-in church services in Idaho.
Good.
But we still have the same inequality in the sense of you can go to Walmart, you can go to Winco,
right.
And as long as you're not hugging everybody around you and breathing in their face, it's totally legit.
Yeah.
And it really is singling out religion. It's saying, and this is the danger of this essential non-essential distinction.
Yeah. Right.
By what standard?
Yeah.
By what standard are we talking about? It's one thing to say there's a fire, get out right now.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. Temporary interruption of wherever the fire is, wherever the active shooter is, wherever the bomb is, get out now. Fine. But as soon as you set something up that has no limit, there's no immediate threat and danger. Now you have to be saying, okay, if this is a bigger emergency than you think, then it has to apply equally across the board.
That's right.
Or you are discriminating, and the only way you're doing that is based on your arbitrary assumptions.
Right.
And I think the governor of Michigan is finding herself in a real issue because
they're going to protest on the Capitol steps.
It's happening right now.
It's happening right now.
Right now. I saw a live video feed earlier on Facebook.
How many people did it look like?
I don't know, but the website,
thousands?
The Facebook had thousands. I don't know how many are actually there.
Okay.
But she's having to do now is because of her arbitrary distinctions. I think she's allowed exceptions for churches, but she still has this essential, non-essential thing going on. So she's gone in and actually red taped off things that she thinks are not essential to your life.
Yeah.
So like garden seeds.
You walk into
the
store.
Illegal to buy now.
Yes.
You can't buy seeds, which you might grow plants which
for
could
food,
grow
which could help the poor,
right?
All
but
stuff.
I guess like toys and basketballs and anything that she doesn't think is essential.
Yeah.
But
so you go into like Walmart and they actually have yellow tape wrapping off sections of the store that you cannot touch.
It's illegal to buy those things. But this is what happens when you go with the law of man. When you go with the law of man,
Yeah.
it is not internally consistent.
That's right.
And it's full of contradictions, which is why I don't care if you're the most Romans 13, lover in the world.
Yep.
If you're trying to obey these regulations right now to the best of your ability, I guarantee you
could get arrested.
You've broken one of them somewhere.
That's right.
Well, and it's going to change. You will break one of them.
You have.
Yeah.
No, you have.
Yeah.
I guarantee you have. You've broken it. Like you didn't. You're like, you got Romans 13 tattooed on your forehead. I don't care.
Yeah.
It's like you broke it.
Well, you broke it by just having Romans.
There's that too. But there's inconsistencies all through it, right?
Well, you broke it too because it's not constitutional.
Exactly.
Which is who you should have been submission to.
We have liquor stores open.
Yeah.
Here in Idaho. Yeah.
This doesn't give me any great hope for how people are planning to start things back up.
Yeah.
So I've been thinking about how are we going to get back to normal, whatever normal is going to be. And when we talked to Dr. Ryan Cole the other day, I was a little concerned because the only thing that he thought of that would be getting us back to normal was testing.
Yeah. Right.
And everything that I'm hearing has some form of testing connected directly to it.
Well,
and if that's the case, then who's going to be in charge of the testing? Who validates the testing?
Yeah.
Is it going to be local businesses? And is there going to be pressure from those local businesses, from the federal government or from the government to have testing?
Yeah, the more I think about it, the more I think, while I think people should be free to do testing,
Yeah.
I think any kind of mandatory testing is a bad deal.
Yeah.
Because what that is basically doing is requiring some kind of license to be in public.
That's right.
And I've seen the meme going around, and I agree with it completely. The Bible and the Constitution are my license for being in public.
Yeah.
That's right.
I'm free to be unharassed and unbothered, whether I'm wearing a face mask or not.
Yeah. That's right.
And
mandatory face mask.
And if somebody on their private property for their business or wants to make us some kind of rule and regulation, that's their business.
Yeah.
And I can choose to honor that or not honor that.
I think my problem is I think the pressure is going to be put on the businesses
I know.
from the federal government or from the government to do this.
Right.
And if they don't do it and someone catches corona now they're going to hold them, they're going to put so much pressure on them that it's the idea of giving up your freedoms because it seems good and you made the decision.
Right. And if there's money flowing in from the government
or persecution,
both sides. I mean, they could say, hey, you know how you took that, you're taking that forgivable loan for the coronavirus.
Right.
You got to follow all regulations.
There's hooks in there.
Absolutely.
And that's why I say you better be careful. Do you know what you're signing up for?
But this is why it's silly to be talking about how we're handling the situation as opposed to what really the crisis is. Because what happens is when you just focus on how we're handling the situation, the crisis becomes a boogeyman.
Right.
Right. We just exacerbate the crisis. We make it sound bigger because all we're focusing about is, are you handling it rightly? Is your business handling it right? And is your governor handling it rightly?
And that's why I would say, rather than, I think people should be free to do the antibody test. They should be free to do that.
Yeah.
And I think that will be helpful data.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm still of the opinion that all of the data that has rolled in has demonstrated that those basically people over 60 are the ones who are most in danger, and people with other immune deficiencies. They should be strongly encouraged to quarantine themselves.
Self-quarantine.
And then the rest of the healthy population of America
should
go back to work, recognizing that the virus is going to go around. People are going to get it like they get it, and we're going to slowly but surely develop herd immunity. And that's the solution.
Yeah.
I'm there with you, man.
But that depends on people taking responsibility for themselves.
Yeah.
Evaluating various risk factors to the best of their ability,
right.
and then trusting God and not being afraid of this sickness.
And seeing the play, right now we're in a position where we're very, very vulnerable.
Yeah.
We're vulnerable. We want to get back to work. We want to get back to our normal lives. And almost any olive branch that is handed us, we're willing to take.
Yeah.
But we need to ask the question.
At what cost?
At what cost? What are we giving up in taking this olive branch? It doesn't seem, and they'll make it look like it's all your idea.
Yeah.
Hey, this is just an option.
Right.
But we need to be mindful of it and say,
is there a gun?
That's right.
Are they brandishing a gun behind it? Is there a threat behind it?
Well, and this is why I don't want the church to pull an Obama right here.
Right.
Meaning that they lead after
it's safe.
It's safe.
This is why I loved the letter from our presiding minister of the CREC. That's the denomination that Christ Church is a part of. It's the Communion of Reformed Evangelical Churches.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think we all shared his letter yesterday on social media. He's basically the moderator of the denomination.
Right.
That we call it presiding minister, but he's between meetings. He's the one that organizes things and can speak on behalf of the denomination. He wrote a wonderful letter, public letter. It's addressed to the president, governor, congressmen, senators, mayor, and civic leaders in the USA and abroad. So all magistrates, basically, in our land.
Because we have CREC churches not just in U.S., but in other countries.
The CREC is not an American denomination.
Yeah, it's an international.
It's based here, but we actually have full member churches in Ukraine, in Poland,
Russia,
in Japan, in Russia, all over the world. And there's a number of really good things in this letter. But I just want to highlight a couple of particular sections. First of all, it begins by thanking the magistrates for the care and concern they've shown for the citizens who elected you and for your attempt to do what you believe to be best for the public good in light of the available information at the time.
That's really great. Honor kings.
It honors them. It assumes the best. And then it says this: it is now apparent that our initial information was incomplete. The pandemic is not what we all thought it was going to be. This is understandable. It was new. We all thought it was a dire threat, and we all responded to protect the lives of our citizens and our congregants as we should have. It is now clear that the stated rationale for these temporary emergency actions, quote, to flatten the curve, unquote, has been achieved, and that these temporary measures are no longer necessary. If we continue on the current course of action of extreme mitigation, things may get much worse, as we fear they most certainly will. And so it goes on to say, it is now time to open up for business, return to work, and return to the worship of the triune God. And notice it's both those things. Back to work and back to worship.
Triune God.
Of the triune God. Now, it goes on to say this: if this were a great plague, a direct threat to the health and lives of all our congregants, as many of us initially thought it was, we would be glad to continue to comply with reasonable measures to mitigate the spread. However, it is now clear that it is not the plague, and we are not prepared to continue to comply with extreme mitigation efforts. Another paragraph, and then it continues. The citizens of the United States and our congregants are already beginning to strongly feel the need to get back to regular living. While we do not currently have a date after which we will no longer comply with extreme restrictions, we believe the time is now at hand for our leaders to stand down from the extreme isolation efforts, and the date after which we will no longer comply is soon approaching, in days or weeks, not months.
Well
That's
done.
awesome.
Well done. And
I don't know of another denomination that has yet spoken this clearly to the magistrates. Are you guys aware of one?
Not that I know of.
And I agree completely. I love the theme that is developed in this show. You got Trump.
Yep.
You know, out in front.
Yep. Leading.
You know, kind of obnoxious, maybe sometimes. All right, very obnoxious. Sort of all over the map.
Sure.
But at least leading. And I would say in general, and thanks to a lot of the people surrounding him,
leading.
generally leading in a better direction than not.
And salute to Pence too. Wow.
And, Pence, Barr, others. And then you got Obama. In creeping behind in the bushes.
Is it safe out here?
Yeah, he's my friend too. I'm with him too. Johnny come lately, which is the temptation of the modern evangelical church. Obama represents the modern evangelical church so well. Right? When it's safe, we'll stick our head up.
Not standing in the gap.
And not risking anything at this point. Right? And then you have, I'm so grateful for Pastor Virgil Hurt's
Way to go, Virgil.
statement on behalf of the presiding ministers of the Community of Reformed Evangelical Churches, saying, look, we know what you were trying to do. We appreciate what you were trying to do. We honor you for that. We've been praying for you for that.
It's time to change course.
Facts have come out. It's clear now. Stand down. Let us get back to work. And we want you to know that the time is quickly approaching in which we will no longer comply with these extreme measures. It's days, not weeks. It's days or weeks, not months.
Yeah, and also we've always talked about when you have a leader, we've talked about this with sheriffs, we've talked about this with governors, but when you have a leader out there who's going to put their neck out there, who's going to stand up, you come back and support them. You get behind them and you stand there with them. So that's why I wanted to share it publicly, make sure everybody saw it.
And I know Presiding Minister Hurt also has the support of the presiding ministers of the presbyteries.
Which is super important.
And I know that they have been in close contact, and I'm sure they gave a lot of input and counsel on this. And I'm sure that's also been part of his ability to stand bold, firm.
It's great.
And so wherever you are, look to your leaders and look to encourage them. Your pastors and elders, they know that you will stand with them?
That's right.
That you will support them? Do your mayor and city council and does your governor know that you're thankful for them and you want to support them as they will do something? They will do what is right. That they will reopen the economy. They will allow worship to recommence. And with if you want to take some reasonable precautions and recommend those things, fine.
Yep.
But the emergency is clearly not an emergency.
Yeah.
Right.
If we want imposition, did I say that right?
Interposition.
Interposition.
Forgot to interposition inside of the abortion issue.
Yeah.
With our governors, with our mayors, with our city council members, right? If we want that, I'm seeing this is what it looks like to start it.
Yeah.
We have
Absolutely.
bold men standing up right now, and get in here. Let's get behind them and say we'll support you, because we need to practice this.
Yeah.
We need to practice this kind of leadership. And right now is a great time to start practicing. And it's starting with the church. All my brothers and sisters who are like, the church isn't doing enough. Well, hey, right now, let's pray for our brother Virgil. Let's pray for the CREC, and let's pray that other denominations decide to follow suit.
Right.
And this kind of leadership will have a domino effect on everything else.
And what it also does is, as the Lord blesses this kind of courage, it will put your church, your pastors, your leaders, your denominations in position to then give good counsel and advice as we go forward. I mean, we're concerned about freedom. We're concerned about Christian freedom. Yep. Well, that's going to come from the Bible, not from anywhere else.
Yep.
But we have to begin by, you have to risk.
Yeah.
You have to step out and say, this is the truth. This is what the Bible says. This is what our Constitution allows for. And therefore, this is what you need to do.
Right. Yeah.
And in doing that, you're taking a great risk. But as the Lord blesses it and demonstrates that it really is wisdom, it puts you in a position then to offer additional wisdom when it comes to abortion, when it comes to Second Amendment rights, when it comes to fiscal responsibility, when it comes to the abomination of sodomy. If we want Christ honored in the public square, you can't wait until it's safe.
No,
that's right.
No. You don't pull an Obama.
That's exactly right.
You do it now, and you ask God to bless it.
First of all, I want to thank everybody who's been joining us every day this week and last week and the week before. We appreciate you guys. All you Fight, Laugh, Feast club members who have been supporting us. Guys, we couldn't do this without you.
Yeah.
We're a little beaten tattered, but we're beaten tattered on your behalf. And so everybody who's been supporting us, thank you so much for allowing this to happen.
And I saw this yesterday online and I really appreciated it. But if you got a CrossPolitic mug or you got your Fight, Laugh, Feast shirt, take a picture and share it.
Please. That'd be great.
Take a picture, or you got your pint glasses, you got, whatever you got.
That's right.
Give yourself a Sabbath brew, and cheers to the King, and share it,
and share the show
so that we can celebrate with you, and you can share with everyone. The blessing.
You support us.
And you guys who are not like your brother and sister who support rowdy Christian media, you need to go ahead and sign up right now. CrossPolitic.com.
Love it.
FightLaughFeast.com.
Love it.
And don't forget about the conference coming up. You're going to be losing your money if you don't do it. So go and do it. So if you're single, get married. If you're married, have kids. And if you have kids, go baptize them. Until tomorrow, love God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. Love your neighbor as yourself. Go fight, laugh, and feast. This is CrossPolitic.